So how many of you guys are bookworms? Yay, I see quite a lot of hands, that's good. I've always been a huge bookworm, and when I was 15, I decided to start writing this book called The Kissing Booth, and I just decided to upload it to this story sharing platform called Wattpad, because, you know, why not? Other people were doing it too. And about 2 years after I started doing that, I got a 3-book publishing deal with Random House, and, you know, I was being dubbed like, you know, what was it? The Dickens of the iPad generation, and I was one of the Times 16 most influential teens of 2013, which was a bit crazy for me because I was there thinking, I have washing up to do and homework to catch up on. This is just, you know, this is not right. But, you know, it's very exciting. And that sort of all started for me when I was, well, it's probably when I was in primary school it really started. I had this love of writing. You know, you guys remember all those short stories your teachers would make you write in English lessons, right? And I would go home and carry on writing them because I just found it really fun. And then when I was 11, starting comprehensive school, my parents gave me an old laptop so I could do homework on. And I actually used it more for writing novels than for doing homework. And then, you know, I just started writing all these stories because it was fun. I mean, I thought it was complete rubbish and a bit of nonsense, but it was something I liked to do. It was relaxing, and it was a nice break from homework. But the thing is, I was a very, very self-conscious 15-year-old. I was shy. I was worried that if I told all my friends that I liked writing, they were going to laugh at me and talk about me behind my back. So I didn't tell anyone. And I didn't tell my family either. So whenever my parents walk into my room and, you know, I'm sat there on my laptop writing, I slam the laptop shut, or I was switching to an internet browser, I was pretending to do homework, because, you know, that's what they were expecting me to do. And they just assumed I was on Facebook, and that was why I was hiding and, you know, quickly switching to my homework. And then when I was 15, it's around GCSE revision time. So some of you are probably familiar with that, or will soon be coming up to that season. So I'm taking a break from revision, and I'm sitting on my bed, and I'm thinking, oh, I just want a break. I want to read something. Now, this is around the time that Twilight is in all the bestseller spots. So every young adult romance in the shops seems to be, you know, vampires or werewolves or fallen angels. And I was just really, really tired of reading all those stories because, you know, where was the regular high school romance? When I couldn't find it, I just decided to write my own instead. It was that easy. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to open up a new Word document and I'm going to write the book I want to read. So I start writing, and I start uploading to this story sharing platform, Wattpad. And I was introduced to that by a friend who was standing at the bus stop one morning, and she just starts gushing about this book she's reading. I'm thinking, wow, this sounds really awesome. What's it called? I'm going to go home and order it off Amazon later. And she says, well, it's not actually a published book. It's a story that someone is writing, and they're just uploading it for people to read for free online. I thought, it's free? That's even better. So I go home later that day after school, I look at Wattpad, and I see all these other people out there who love writing. The difference is that they are sharing their work. But I find this community of writers, and I think for the first time, I'm not alone in this. And, you know, a lot of them were teenagers as well, which was really great because, you know, I spent all this time hiding my writing, and finally I had somewhere to share that. So I start posting the first few chapters of my book, The Kissing Booth, online. I thought, you know, maybe a couple of people will read it, maybe they won't. It doesn't matter, because the thing was, it was totally anonymous. You know, I spent all this time hiding my writing and my love of writing from everyone. And then, you know, I find this place where I can sign up online. No one knows that I've done it. And I had a nickname at school, Reekles, so I make that my username, and I just start uploading. Because the thing was, I was so scared of sharing my writing with, you know, my family, my friends, because I thought, they're just going to tell me that it's good to be polite, and, you know, maybe people will laugh about it behind my back because it is so terrible. And then, you know, I think, well, if there are these total strangers reading it, they don't owe me anything. If they read it, it's because they genuinely want to. They don't feel like they have a duty to me as my friend to read it. And if they take the time to comment, it's because, you know, they genuinely think that. And I mean, you hear a lot of horror stories about trolls and negative experiences on the internet where people share their work. But I didn't have any of that. I found a really, really positive, really supportive community. And, you know, there was, you know, maybe one negative comment on there in the blue moon. But, you know, the majority of the time, people were just commenting honestly. They were commenting positively. It was constructive criticism or even just, OMG, can't wait for the next chapter to be uploaded. But then, you know, something unexpected happened. I start getting a lot of readers, and my book starts getting popular online. You know, there's something called the What's Hot list when I started posting. So, you know, it would rank overall on the site and then by genre, you know, how popular your book was, essentially. So, you know, my book starts being featured on the main homepage, and it starts being like, you know, number 2 and number 1 in the What's Hot list. And I'm thinking, this is a bit crazy, but okay. But as more people start reading my book, I start believing in myself. I start feeling validated when I get a comment on my story. And I think, you know, I'm not wasting my time with this. Maybe I'm actually even kind of good at this whole writing thing. And then I start telling people. I tell my parents. I remember when I told them, actually, we just sat downstairs, I'm on my laptop, we're watching TV, and they say, oh, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm writing a story and I've uploaded it online. It's got like 50,000 people reading it. And they were like, oh, okay. Is that safe? Carry on. They didn't really know what to say to it because, you know, they had nothing to compare it to. So they were just like, yeah, we trust you, that's safe. You know, continue. Good luck, whatever. And then, you know, I start telling my friends about it and they're a bit like, oh, okay, cool. But then, you know, I start telling my parents, oh, I've got 300,000 reads on my story. I've got 1 million reads. I've got 5 million reads. And they start sort of stepping back and saying, that is a huge number. Like, that's a lot of people reading your book, Beth. And I say, I know. I'm not really sure what's happening. It's just kind of blown up. And, you know, they start believing in me more. I start believing in myself. And like I said, self-confidence can be a huge, huge hurdle for a lot of us, particularly when we're teenagers. I mean, you know, I'm 19 at the minute, so I'm still in these sort of awkward teenage years, hence my flashcards on the podium in case I forget anything. But, you know, I have forgotten something. So when I'm getting these, you know, these millions of reads on my book, I start taking myself a little bit more seriously as a writer. I set up a Twitter account purely because, you know, I might as well, to promote my writing and interact with my fans. I set up a Facebook page to do the same thing. I create a new Tumblr blog specifically for my writing, and then I'm completely shocked when all these other young girls say, oh, I really admire you. Can you give me some writing advice? I'm like, wow, you think I'm qualified to give you writing advice? This is great. And then, you know, it's just completely bizarre because it's just something that I've started doing for fun. And then like I said, it just blew up online. And then I look into publishing. You know, how do I get published? And I thought, oh, it's a really long, arduous process. And, you know, at this point, I was 16. I was just about to go into sixth form. And I finished writing The Kissing Booth. And I think, well, people, maybe they're just going to come back and tell me, oh, you know, maybe you should write for your school newspaper. So I thought, you know, I'm a bit too scared to do this. I won't. I looked into self-publishing, but you had to be 18 to do that, so I couldn't do that either. And then the unthinkable happened literally days after I'd sent off my university applications for studying physics. By the way, I'm not doing English. I get a message on Wattpad from someone who is a commissioning editor at Random House saying, we really love your book, The Kissing Booth, and we want to publish it. And I let out just this really weird noise and tore the charger out of my laptop, run into my parents, freaking out, quite understandably. And, you know, so we get back in touch with this lady, and a few phone calls later, it's half term. My dad and I go up to visit the Random House offices, and they offer me there and then a 3-book deal. and a lot of free books as well. So I was, I was sold on the free books. But I still get nervous doing like presentations in tutorial groups in university, so. But the internet is an extremely powerful tool, and you can find a community full of people who share your passion. No matter what it is, I can almost guarantee that there is a community out there full of people who are there to support and encourage you with what you love doing, because they love it too. And it's really important to find these outlets, especially if you're a bit shy or a bit introverted or a bit self-conscious, which a lot of us are as teenagers. You need to find that outlet just to share your passions and share your interests, share your creations. It is so important to get that validation and to realize maybe you're not wasting your time. Maybe this is actually something important. This is something that you could, go a lot further with. Maybe this is something you can make a career out of. And, whatever it is, whether it's writing a book or creating a web series or, writing an app, whatever it is, if you feel that something is missing from the world, go out there and create it for yourself. Make your ideas reality. And you have to stop worrying what other people will think. As long as you're passionate about it, pursue it. I mean, once I started getting more confident about my writing, I started being a lot more open about my love of other things. Like, I started telling my friends about my writing, realized they weren't laughing at me for it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I started being more open about my love of physics. So I'm like, yeah, we have physics today. And everyone else is like, no, we have physics today. I'm like, no, physics. And I start being more open about, even little things like the fact I like completely different music to the friends I was hanging out with and different TV shows and things like that. I know it sounds a bit rich coming from me because, I've kind of gone through most of the awkward teenage years. But you really do have to just stop worrying and put yourself out there and believe in yourself a lot more. You have to embrace what you love and don't be afraid to let the world know about it.